session is River Waterworks and Canals of Shahjahanabad. The mehman for this session is Professor Manu Mahajan. Professor Mahajan, if you could please come on stage. And Professor Tayyaba Munawar. And the mezban for this session is Janab Iqtidar Alam. Iqtidar Alam is an architect by training, presently a doctoral student at the Department of Archaeology, University of Cambridge. Iqtidar was earlier involved with the Aga Khan Trust for Culture and thereafter as an assistant professor with the Department of Architecture at Jamia Millia Islamia. His ongoing research explores the system of waterworks in Shahjahanabad, Delhi. Beyond purely architectural preoccupations, he designs and curates works on cultural landscapes and socio-religious ephemera. I'm handing over the stage to Iqtidar. Sorry. Yeah.
Thank you so much. So we're here to for this panel on. It's on. I just need. Yeah. Can you hear me now? Yeah. So we are here to for a discussion on the waterworks of Shahjahanabad. Water, as we know, is a symbol of life, prosperity, sacrament, cleanser and healer, devastator and destroyer, and is one of the most revered and featured element in the South Asian landscape. It does not merely govern the banalities of everyday life, but also directs the forms of traditions, rituals, trade, defense, recreation, and infrastructure. The Mughal city of Shahjahanabad, which was built by Shah Jahan, we all know of it in 1639 or 1048 Hijri. And the site chosen for the new capital was on the bank of the river Yamuna or Jamuna, closer to the earlier short-lived Mughal capitals, Deenpana, and also adjacent to the capital of Firoz Shah Tughlaq, Firozabad. But what is important here, since we are talking about water, is how do we situate the city hydrologically? Hydrologically, the Shahjahanabad sits at the intersection of two large basins, the Panj Ab on one side and the Do Ab on the other side. The Panj Ab, which is Punjab, with the 5 rivers, and the Do Ab with Ganga and Jamuna on the other side. But also it sits at the intersection of 2 climatic zones, extreme climatic zones. We have the arid, that is the Thar Desert on one side, and then we have the humid subtropical, which is the Gangetic Plain on the other side. And it's important to understand, when you're talking about water, how the city of Shahjahanabad sits in this larger context. So the physical landform and the semi-arid climate, it fostered indigenous water management practices, which are still visible in the water tanks, and cisterns, reservoirs, wells, ponds, and the canal, the imperial object that was introduced by Shah Jahan in this semi-arid landscape, all the way from Safidon to Delhi, diverting it from the earlier canal that was made by Firoz Shah Tughlaq. Today we have Professor Tayyaba Munawar and Professor Manu Mahajan, who's joined us for this discussion. Professor Tayyaba Munawar is a professor at the Department of Architecture, Jamia Millia Islamia, and her research has extensively been on Shahjahanabad. She is from Shahjahanabad herself, and there's some interesting works, including one on the monuments of Delhi, Asarus Sanadid, and other works on urban villages of Delhi. Professor Manu Mahajan is the head of the Department of Urban Design at the School of Planning and Architecture, New Delhi. And he is also been a Commonwealth scholar to UCL, the Bartlett College. He's extensively worked on historic cities, not only Shahjahanabad, Mehrauli, but and Bhopal and other historic towns. Besides, I would like to mention here, he is a great artist. Okay, so I'll invite both the speakers to begin with their opening remark, but in the context of using water as a thinking tool. Can we look at water as a thinking tool in the context of South Asia, especially when it comes to urbanism practices? So, Professor Mahajan, if you can.
थैंक यू इक़्तिदार जब कल शाम को इक़्तिदार ने ये आउटलाइन भेजा तो मुझे फर्रे बना के आना पड़ा, सो एक्सक्यूज़ मी बिकॉज एक्चुअली बोथ ऑफ अस हैव टॉट इक़्तिदार, बट आज ऐसा लग रहा है कि इक़्तिदार हमारा टेस्ट ले रहा है, तो आई हैव टू सो वाटर एज अ थिंकिंग टूल. I would start my response with a thought. The thought is on that, scarcity leads to innovation. Until the time we humans started controlling resources through mechanical means, be it irrigation or boring, medieval cities, in our context, they represent examples of geography as the key determinant of settlements. Once we overcame this limitation through technological means, city structure changed and cities expanded. But till that time, I'm talking about the time 17th, 18th century, cities were limited. I would like to mention a book, Neil Smith. Neil Smith writes in Production of Nature that how 19th and 20th century resulted in a change. We will come back to that, and how humans use technology for appropriating resources. Whenever I talk about nature, I always remember three words from one of the greatest professors who taught us, Professor Ravindra Bhan. He came for our first class and he said, remember three things in my class for this entire term: land, water, and vegetation. And when I look at, I was 22 at the time, but over a period of time, whenever I see cities in India, these three words, they keep coming back to me: land, water, and vegetation. And land has a form, that is contours, soil profile, climatic conditions, as Iqtidar was mentioning about Delhi. Water also has three forms: precipitation, that is rainfall or snowfall; surface water, ponds, lakes, rivers, and oceans; and groundwater. Vegetation survives on land and water features. So this is I think if we look at as a kind of these three in conjunction, we will start reading the cities differently. And till the time we enter into 19th century, I'm not particularly talking about Shahjahanabad here or Delhi. In Indian context, there are, if you look at any old city, but this is my reading of old city because I teach design and I understand cities mainly through space. There are 5 elements: महल और किला, जो हमेशा किसी लैंड फॉर्म के ऊपर लोकेट किया जाता था. Whether you go to Jodhpur, you go to Shahjahanabad, we discussed about Yamuna and Shahjahan and Red Fort, or you go to any place. So Mahal or Kila. Mandir or Masjid, again relying on water features. Whether it is pond, tank, Gali or Mohalla, where communities harness water locally. One Uppan, Bagichi, Bagh, vegetation types, and Pani in various forms. Whether it is Hauz, whether it is Chashma, whether it is Ghats, whether it is Bauli, Darya, it is everywhere. In any old city, you will find one or another type of. Let me take some specific examples. A town of Srirangam in Tamil Nadu. It is actually an island formed by river Kaveri. it became prosperous due to rich soil and river-based trade. Kumbakonam in Tamil Nadu, a similar example along Vaigai. Even today, gods from all 5 main temples go to a mandapa on the banks of this river to take snan. Or Jodhpur, known for its water harvesting. If you carefully look at the old streets of Jodhpur, they act like stormwater drains. And there are 2 parallel systems of water running along these streets. Or Lahore, Agra, Shahjahanabad, located along the banks of great rivers and known for their historic gardens. Coming to neighborhoods, very classic example is Pukurs of Calcutta, where even today neighborhoods and their Durga Puja Samitis are arranged around these small water bodies. And last example is Braj, close to Delhi, where land, water and vegetation in their multiple combinations resulted in Vans, Uppans, Bagichi, Bagh, Ghat, Govardhan Parbat, all that parikrama. It is all, so there is, over a period of time, we arranged these elements and we connected that with some sort of cosmic arrangement as well. I'll come to that, the spirit of these. And when it comes to some great cities of South Asia, we always remember, oh, there are valleys which form cities. Kashmir ho, Ajmer hai, valley town hai. But there is one more type which is water-based and which has formed cities. It is based on ridges. If anybody has been to Almora, it is on a ridge. It's a ridge town. So primarily, there are 3 waterscapes. They exist for humans or humans created those. One is supply of water, second is wastewater, and third is stormwater. And there are examples of cities both in medieval times as well as colonial times where ridges were used to control and channelize these 3 waterscapes. Mandu is a classic example. Mandu is not on the banks of Narmada. It is actually located far away from Narmada. But how it harnessed water to create another kind of landscape. Shimla is an example from colonial times, a city on the ridge. Why? For discharge of water. Another aspect of water is navigation, and we know Indian cities absorbed navigation in 19th and 20th century when we created canal networks for goods movement. Calcutta is another example of that. So I'll come to this relationship of navigation, trade, water later. But one simple example of how water controlled our cities is design of rooftops. We design rooftops based on precipitation, based on our rainfall patterns. So, Iqtidar, I'll stop here. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think Manu has given a very detailed, overline of what we are going to talk. So in the same line, I would say that as a thinking tool, when we look at water, of course, settlements have happened along the banks of river. You look at old civilizations and, Indus Valley civilization and things like that. So water has always been the governing force. And if you look at the present cities, I won't go into the history part, but if you look at the present conditions, the cities are evolving. You start with Kashmir, the rivers are there, but then of course you have a lake. You have a Kashmir, a circular settlement happening around the lake. You have Bhopal, where a lot of small lakes are there, and then the whole settlement is growing. So water has been a very important, force for a settlement to have a kind of a direction to grow. So that is definitely there as a thinking tool. In one thing that I would like to, because we are talking of all the cities of India, our cities are very unique. They have this very indigenous character, which we do not find anywhere. And I find that even in our literature, we don't really appreciate that fact that we have very indigenous urbanism, you can coin that term, where so we have a very indigenous values to when we look at all our historic cities. We have this mixed land use, low-rise, high-density cities where everyone is clubbed together. And there is this beautiful grain of culture and, things happening side by side. So there is this, I think we need to look at our literature and look at our cities from an Indian lens. We always look at things from a very Eurocentric approach. The kind of interaction we have with our water bodies is very different from what the European writers have. We create our cities, we create our ghats, and we go into it. You find a funeral happening on the ghat. You find people recreating. Whereas when you look at their approach, the rivers have always been very picturesque. They create those. You sit at a place and you enjoy the view and things like that. So that is something very unique, and we need to appreciate that. And that is also a kind of a thinking tool. How you integrate and how you really engage with the water body.
Great. So from moving to, like we started with South Asia as, and the practice of water urbanism in the context of South Asia. We'll move to now the context of Shahjahanabad. And we all know that cities have historically developed in close proximity to water sources. And in the case of Delhi, we have the Pahadi and the Darya. And there were cities that emerged in the Pahadi and then also in the Darya. So if we could talk about how water has functioned as that central element of urbanism in context to Delhi. And also I would like to bring here the religio-cultural context too, because when we're talking about Delhi, it's important to talk about the religio-cultural context as well. So if you could please talk about it maybe.
I call it Delhi love triangle. The triangle formed by a river on one side and the ridge, which is actually very much evident there, that
There goes the teacher.
Yes, the teacher in us will always take us to the board.
the river and the triangle which is formed by Aravallis. Actually, this map, if you go towards Tughlakabad is also located on a ridge. So I call this as Delhi love triangle, and this triangle, और ये जो river जो दरिया और ridge बनाता है, this is what resulted in Delhi. I will not go back to Indraprasth, I will not go back, but based on archaeological evidence, this is how Delhi survived since 8th century. Actually, importance of this triangle lies in कैसे पूरब से आने वाला पानी, हमारे यहाँ मानसून जो है वो पूरब से आता है, इस पहाड़ी से टकराता है और फिर वो लैंड में बह के यमुना में चला जाता है. The second importance of this triangle is, if you control this triangle, obviously not today, even today somebody controls this triangle. Lutyens Delhi में कुछ लोग control करते हैं. You control all the agricultural land production, all the production of agriculture which happens in Doab, which Iqtidar mentioned. A rich region formed by Yamuna and Ganga. Actually, Ganga is not very far away from where we are sitting. It is just 80 kilometers. Garmukteshwar is exactly 80 kilometers from where we are. And so this triangle results in 3 sub-basins. The first is Shahadra sub-basin, which is across the river. Second is Najafgarh basin, which is on this side of the triangle. And the third is popularly known as Barapulla basin, but it is not the exact name. Actually, Barapulla basin is also divided into a number of sub-basins, but I'll use the word Barapulla basin. And all the cities of Delhi till 1930s and 40s happened in this basin, in this triangle. And the reason is water. And this is due to monsoon water and how different kingdoms, they harnessed this monsoon water and created cities. And the second connection of this triangle is, as I was saying, the control of agriculture production. It is the trade routes. Actually, where we are in this triangle, it is actually the combination of water and trade. So, since Lal Kot to Shahjahanabad and even New Delhi, when the site was selected in 1911, it happened in this triangle. There are actually 4 trade routes. The first trade route is the present-day GT road, going to north. Second is a pass through Aravallis. This route goes to Kabul and Central Asia. And the third is actually Tomars detected this route. And this route is through Aravallis, which is through Mehrauli, and it goes to western ports of India. And that's, if we conjecture this history, the trade from Gulf started in this time. And Tomers, they are shifting their base from present-day Faridabad to Mehrauli. The fourth trade route, which was not trade route, water route, which was mentioned, that Shah Jahan used to enter from water side, it was Yamuna. Actually, Yamuna is navigable, easily navigable with that day technology till the point where Shahjahanabad is located. You cannot, with that day technology, you cannot move upstream of Yamuna. And these four trade routes within this triangle is resulting in 7 cities or 8 cities or 9 cities till 1940s. All these kingdoms, they appropriated rainwater. I think Iqtidar has recently discovered, or he saw Anang Tal, the famous water body created in Mehrauli by Tomers. And then we have Hauz-e-Shamshi, Hauz Khas, all sorts of creation, various types of water bodies being created and settlements. Actually, again, I will repeat, this is scarcity of water resulting in innovation and these settlements and their landscapes. To capture water, and some of the fascinating research shows that actually Delhi Ridge, this triangle it used to have rings of bunds. And these bunds were used as bastions first and then as settlements. So settlements grew out of these. Actually, there is one more layer which is very interesting in case of, actually I don't like the word interesting, which is very rich in case of this triangle. Actually, apart from kings like Tomers, Chauhans, Tughlaqs, Khaljis, there is another layer that was shaping since 12th to 13th century in this triangle. Layer formed by Sufi shrines. Actually, the Chishti sect, if you look at where the dargahs are located, they are located at very special points in this triangle. Whether you take Dargah of Bakhtiyar Kaki, which is in Mehrauli, whether you take Nizamuddin Auliya, Dargah of Nizamuddin Auliya, or even Chirag Dili. If you go to Chirag Dili is not located as a normal space. It is actually located on a high point next to one of the streams, now a Ganda Nala, but say in 14th, 15th century, maybe much more pure kind of. And there are many more. Turkman's Dargah is located at a very special place in Old Delhi. So, and here the relationship of land and water gets reinforced through a new layer or a different layer which is not dynasties. These are shrine-based layer. I was doing some minor research on this, and I wonder, and I coined these: Sultan और Amir चले गए, पीर और फकीर अभी भी रह गए. How? Because of land, water, and spirit, and that's why this layer is still surviving. Layers of King is more monumental in Delhi now. Yeah, Iqtidar.
Would you like to add?
What was the question?
But the Delhi as the Pahadi and the Darya in the
Yes.
context of urbanism.
So we're looking at this Shahjahanabad, which is happening in 1638. But Delhi has been having the civilizations are happening. So if you look at the gradual movement of the settlement, it's starting from the south, which is like Lal Kot and Mehrauli, and then it is moving towards the river. Gradually, if you look at it, it is gradually coming when Firoz Shah Tughlaq is making his citadel, which is the present day stadium and all next to that, and then it is moving north to that, and we are having Shahjahanabad. So it's not like that the earlier settlement, they just ended up because the other ruler is making something else. They are growing and they are, evolving with respect to time. And as Manu mentioned about the Sufi saints and all, like in every settlement, if you try to see, you find that there is some kind of a connection with the Sufi saint. So you have Mehrauli, you have Bakhtiyar Kaki, you have, when you move up, you have this Chirag Dili, and you have this Ghayaspura, and then things like that. And other than the water thing, Sufis have been a very reverent figure. So every important person wanted to be buried next to the person, to the Sufi saint. You look at Qutbuddin Bakhtiar Kaki, just next to it is your Zafar Mahal. So they want to be, you know, in the pious sayers of that. And you look at Nizamuddin Dargah, you have Jahan's grave right next to it, and then there are other Mughal graves next to it. So water is, of course, yeah, it has been the central element. But when these Sufis and they are creating these settlements nearby, this another feature is again playing a very important role, where the royalty wants to come in that and becoming a part of that settlement. So that's one aspect to it.
Yeah, I think it's a very interesting dimension to look at, where we of how landforms and the location of shrines play an important role. Okay, I think being a student of archaeology here, I like to bring in place names as something we use as an endemic approach in archaeology to understand how features that are associated with land or features that are associated with water, and how they help in evaluating a dynamic landscape. So if you could please talk about the toponymies or the place names that in context to Shahjahanabad and also in context to the greater landscape that Shahjahanabad belongs to. Some places that you could call it, maybe, ma'am, you could say. Yeah.
Like you have this Satpula, you have this Barapula. So they are talking of, you know, there is some kind of a pull which is taking you there. Then there is this Dhola Kuan. So when you say Dhola Kuan, so then there is this Kuan, and then there is this, when you go into the city, there is Lal Kuan, right? And there is Patthar Wala Kuan, and there is this. I mean, people are naming them as per the context that they are in. So you find that बावली के भी नाम है खारी बावली, तो पानी खा रहा है तो वो खारी बावली. So टाइपोनिमी से पता चलता है कि कुछ रिलेशन वाटर से रहा होगा. जैसे बली मारान है, कंजेक्चरल ही कर सकते हैं आप. बली मारान है तो वो मतलब वो ओर्स वाले वहाँ रह रहे हैं. या कूचा मल्ला है आपके अभी प्रेजेंट काले महल में, एक छोटा सा मोहल्ला है विच वाज जस्ट अ रीसेंट डिस्कवरी. कूचा मल्ला यहाँ क्या कर रहा है, मतलब यू नो. सो नाम से ऑफ कोर्स यू गेट एन आइडिया कि कुछ तो कनेक्शन है इस जगह का. एंड यू कैन कंजेक्चराइज कि हाँ शायद कुछ ऐसा कनेक्शन होगा इस जगह का. लाइक द अदर डे व्हेन वी वर डिस्कसिंग, तो ये था कि अगर पुराना, जब से शाहजहानाबाद से पहले फिरोज शाह तुगलक का तो सेटलमेंट है, तो ऐसा नहीं है कि वो सिर्फ वहीं तक महदूद है. देयर आर लॉट ऑफ थिंग्स. कला मस्जिद है जैसे आपका तुर्कमान गेट पर, बहुत ही एक्टिवली लोग वहाँ वर्शिप करते हैं, या आगे के जो कुछ चीज़ें. तो अगर आप उन्हें कंजेक्चुरली देखें तो कहीं ना कहीं जोग्राफी जो था, इट वाज लीडिंग टू यू नो दैट काइंड ऑफ थिंग्स, एंड सेटलमेंट को सपोर्ट करने के लिए चीज़ें वहाँ पे हैं ही. सो यू हैव वेल्स, यू हैव बावलीज, यू नो, यू हैव टैंक्स. आपका हौज़ शमसी है, या आपका अलई आपका हौज़ है. सो नाम से ऑफ कोर्स यू कैन कंजेक्चराइज सम लिटिल थिंग्स फ्रॉम देयर.
Sir, we like to add.
There was though I don't have the full scale of this study, but actually there was a study done by Dennis Weidel and Professor Narayani Gupta on urban vocabulary in northern India. They take this northern belt and how place names, how places are given name, whether it is Paharganj, whether it is Abadi kya hoti hai, Nagar kya hota hai. So there are various scales. But in case of water bodies, when I look at this study, they document 4 or 5 names which are present in this landscape. You know, I'm not referring to Shahjahanabad per se, but in the northern Indian landscape, they refer to a word like diggi. Diggi is a kind of rectangular tank. They refer to word like talab, hawz, neher, nala, ghats. So there are 5-6 names which they have given, and they argue, you know, coming to एक तो इतनी मुश्किल अंग्रेजी क्यों लिखते हैं, क्या है, टाइपो
Toponymy.
हम हिंदी मीडियम में
Place names, sir.
So coming back to the study, they argue that Hindi Urdu words have not only been used here, but there are derivations from from different languages. And they have been unconsciously in this landscape, it has been unconsciously combined. People have combined terms from different languages to make they have used this word, portmanteau words, which is like how podcast came from iPod plus broadcast. So this is how they define. But coming specifically to water or features of see it one way to look at place names is as a reference point. As a reference point in the landscape. Say for example, मैं पहाड़ी भोजली के पीछे रहता हूँ. So you know पहाड़ी भोजली is a reference because it stands out in the landscape. या मैं यमुना के किनारे एक मोहल्ले में रहता हूँ. So there is a feature which is used. The landscape feature is used. Second, as Taiba was mentioning, due to the specific feature of the water body itself or water structure itself. Say for example, Taiba mentioned about Khari Bauli. The Delhi landscape is full of such Baulis. Gandak ki Bauli, Rajaon ki Bauli, Lal Kuan. All these are specific features of these water structures. Barapula, it means there is a structural element of 12 or 12 arches. Actually, third is related to people who build these structures, which are more connected with dynasties. Say, for example, Hauz-e-Shamshi or Hauz-Rani. You know, these are specific to particular people who constructed these. So I'll say that there is a scale and type of water structure reflected in nomenclature in their names. Yeah.
Great, thank you. Now we'll move to the city core, and also the context of the city core, and we'd like to talk about, as of course the Yamuna was the primary fluvial element, the river landscape to which Shahjahanabad belonged, and also there was this imperial object that was the canal that was introduced to bring water to the city. So if you could talk about, and these features definitely, they act as morphological determinants. They control how the city should be designed. They control how the city should be laid out. So the entire layout. So if you could talk about the morphological determinants of the urban form of Shahjahanabad in context to the water features, but also if you could talk about the multi-scalar element of water, with canal as the regional scale, and then going all the way down to the well, which can become an individual dwelling unit scale, also as the community scale. So there are multiple scales to which water becomes part of. So if you could talk about the multi-scalar element of water as well. So would you like to go first?
Actually, I'll rely on some of the technical and my personal kind of visits to kind of explain this. This is, Iqtidar, in my opinion, this is a very special area of inquiry and may require more work in future. But what I am doing here is I'm trying to conjecture the spatial evolution based on three sources. One is whatever is available in public domain, whatever is published. My own understanding of this landscape and the features of the landscape, and some of the reference from my field work carried out since 2017. So if we look at three maps in conjunction or parallelly, we identify waterscapes on ground. I'm not talking about the underground. On ground of Shahjahanabad, and these maps are map of 1850. We in our circle, in our design circle, we call it Thomas Craft map. Then there was a survey done in 1865 and 66, which again gives us reference of water structures. and then a detailed survey, Wilson survey, which was done in 1910-11. If you read these three parallelly, they show water structures at various scales. Be it canals, it starts from canal, river. If we look at the scale, river, canal, and finally going to a community or public well. Let us look at other sources. The landform and water features around Shahjahanabad. Everybody knows that Shahjahanabad is located on the banks of Yamuna, very visible from this map. And if we read 1850 drawing, which it shows that how the royal family was along the east of Shahjahanabad, along the banks of Yamuna. Actually, closer analysis of landform reveals two valley-like formations, which is actually first is, and I request all of you that I think field observation is one of the best methods to understand land and water relationships. Next time, if you go to 30,000 कोट, भगवान ना करे आपको जाना पड़े, but अगर आप 30,000 मेट्रो स्टेशन पे उतरते हैं या पुल बंगश मेट्रो स्टेशन पे उतरते हैं and you start walking towards ISBT, you will see that it is a valley. It is a valley, and इसीलिए उसका नाम 30,000 पड़ा था, क्योंकि कुछ लोग बोलते थे वहाँ मोर हैं, कुछ लोग बोलते थे वहाँ पेड़ लगाए गए थे, बाग थे, but it is a valley formation. So this is one valley which is running north and meeting Yamuna near Kuchia Bagh, next to Nigam Bodh Ghat और वो सब जो है. Actually, there is another valley. Next time you travel on Aruna Asif Ali Marg, say from Kamla Market, Ajmeri Gate side towards Rajghat, you will see that the land is flowing down. And these three formations is the point where Shahjahanabad was located. Drainage. We have to take water, but we have to drain water. So how? If you start moving from Red Fort to Kashmiri Gate, land starts rising. Just next time you go to Old Delhi Station, Kashmiri Gate side, you will see the Lothian Road suddenly rises and meets Kashmiri Gate at the actual gate there. So these three are these three water features around Shahjahanabad. They, again, this is my own assessment that they defined. I'll come back to trade routes, intersection of trade and water. I'm sure many of us, not the younger generation, because younger generation जो है वो राजघाट नहीं जाती है, वो राजघाट से बाईपास लेके इंदिरा गांधी स्टेडियम से घूम के ISBT जाती है और वापस भी हम वहीं से आते हैं. But many of us, when we took ISBT से बस to go to say Chandigarh, Ambala, या कहीं भी, अमृतसर, behind Red Fort we cross a gate, एक लाल किले का गेट, मतलब there are 3-4 arches in that gate. जैसे आप क्रॉस करते हैं वहाँ से फ्लाईओवर ऊपर जाता है और फ्लाईओवर नीचे ISBT पे उतर जाता है. Towards the right of this gate, actually it's a railway bridge, which crosses Salimgarh Fort and goes through Red Fort, little bit of Red Fort, and goes to Old Delhi. The Salimgarh Fort, I think in the last panel also there was a mention of Salimgarh Fort. Actually, why was Salimgarh Fort situated here? It is actually the intersection of land and water route, trade route. GT Road coming from Calcutta side, going towards north, and the Yamuna crossing that point. Salimgarh Fort is actually a control point. And if we go deeper into and this fort was built during Sher Shah Suri's time, 1520s, 30s ka time hai. And I mentioned earlier that river became difficult to navigate beyond this point. Thus, this was a strategic point where 4 trade routes they start intersecting. And if I'm not wrong, I think I read this in last Mughal, that Bahadur Shah Zafar escaped through this river route in 1857 and stayed in Humayun's tomb for 36 days. So it means there is an importance of water and how navigation and also security and also beauty and aesthetics, whatever, you know. But I think security of water and security of the palace complex, I think they were dominant. Coming to oral history, whatever field work I have done, and where I always look at that my own notes to conjecture points in history. We met an old person in Kishanganj in 2017. Yes. And he told me, Kishanganj is, by the way, one of the suburbs of Shahjahanabad. It is towards the western side when you start moving towards. And he told me कि मैं अपने बचपन में हम सब बच्चे हम एक कैनाल में नहाते थे. And this canal and this canal is actually the Ali Mardan Canal, which was covered it was covered as late as 1980s. And today there is a road on top of the canal, and there are metro pillars, tuck, 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 tuck. So this canal was there till 1980s, and it is unfortunate that मैं बोलूँगा नहीं किसने fill कर दिया, but it is unfortunate that we filled it. Second, some of the field notes. Second, I interviewed a person, 77-year-old, when in 2019, and we were just discussing कि अच्छा शाहजहानाबाद कैसे दिखता था, because he was talking about 1950s में ये था वो था, तो I asked him, अच्छा शाहजहानाबाद कैसा दिखता था. So and this person, he took उन्होंने गहरी सांस ली, and he closed his eyes, and as if he was going back to 1950. मतलब एक वो सुकून जो दिखता है ना चेहरे पे कभी कभी of good memories. And he actually recited an extempore poem in Urdu and Hindi, and I think there is a reference of pani and jungle and everything in this poem. And he's not मतलब वो हमारे जैसे मतलब हम तो अभी बाद में बात करते हैं. तो he said दिल्ली की चार दीवारी के अंदर की पुरानी दिल्ली और दिल्ली गेट, लाहौरी गेट, कश्मीरी गेट, तुर्कमान गेट, अजमेरी गेट, चारों तरफ बाहर जंगल था, चारों तरफ बाहर जंगल था. फसील कुछ 20-25 फुट चौड़ी, फसील इज वॉल, ditch around 18 to 20 feet. We were talking about the moat. मोरी गेट के बाहर बच्चे खेलते थे. मोरी गेट इज एक्चुअली अगेन वो पुल बंगर से ISBT का सेक्शन है, और लाल किला और दरियागंज के पीछे. इफ़ यू लुक एट द ड्राइंग्स ऑफ 1930s and 40s, एक्चुअली दरियागंज में कुछ नहीं था. DIT क्रिएटेड दरियागंज इन 1936. कश्मीरी गेट में हिंदू कॉलेज और स्टीफन कॉलेज था, जो अब सफ़ील के बाहर है. नहीं सफ़ील नहीं, फसील के बाहर, सॉरी. अब मैं ना उर्दू जानता हूँ ना वो जानता. इतना सुकून भरा माहौल होता था. लट्टू लटके नज़र आते थे, 10-20 दुकानें, 1-2 टेलीफोन. बाज़ार में इतनी भीड़ नहीं थी. गद्दा गद्दी इन शॉप्स, एक्चुअली इफ़ यू गो टू ओल्ड शॉप्स दे सिट ऑन द फ्लोर विद वाइट गद्दी एंड गद्दा. पानी भरे भरे मिट्टी के मटकों में, चांदनी चौक के दोनों और पेड़. इफ़ यू लुक एट द ओल्ड ड्राइंग्स देयर वर ट्रीज. और हर 100-150 स्टेप्स के बाद पिया हो. एक्चुअली देयर इज मोर written by him, but this is how people felt about their own city, and there is a reference of elements of the city which are not only built, they are nature. बाकी और भी था. The third, again coming to scale, one scale is canal, which I use from my Kishanganj field note. The second is a scale which is now coming closer to the city, moat, paid, Chandni Chowk. The third is the scale which was there locally. And in September 2019, I saw a big well near Dariba Kalan, and one of the local friends, local architect, he told me that this was the key source of water for rest of the locality around. In 2022, ए ब्लू कलर शीट इज़ इन फ्रंट ऑफ द वेल. वो हम जब कंस्ट्रक्शन करते हैं तो हम ब्लू कलर की चादरें लगा देते हैं ना, तो वो है, आ गया है वो. एंड इट इज़ एंड ए हाउस इज़ बीइंग डिमोलिश्ड फॉर रिकंस्ट्रक्शन. आई थिंक मुझे लगता है कुआं भी डिमोलिश हो गया होगा. आई विल स्टॉप हियर. यप.
Ma'am, would you like to add to this?
Yeah, like you were mentioning about the canal. So yeah, there is of course this whole geography which is there, but then when you look at the formal as a canal as a formal element, so we find references where the Ali Marda Canal is being channeled to the garden, which is Jahara's garden, then it is going to the fort, and then it is passing through the pavilions. क्योंकि जब नई सिटी की साइड ढूंढनी थी तो पहला आर्किटेक्ट ब्रीफ यही था कि it should have a place where the water flows through the pavilions. So ये तभी ढूंढा गया. और दूसरा जो पोर्शन था वो सिटी ये चांदनी चौक के बीच में से गुजरता था. तो मैं अकॉर्डिंग टू मी आई वोंट से कि जो कनाल है वो बहुत ही हमेशा एलीट के लिए थी. जब वो सिटी के बीच में से गुजर रही है तो लोगों के लिए भी थी. सो इट वाज एवरीवन्स मतलब उसको सिर्फ ये नहीं है कि सिर्फ एक अली या राजाओं के लिए एक चीज़ सिर्फ यूज़ हो रही है. तो सिटी के बीच में से जा रही है, लोग रिक्रिएशन की तरह से यूज़ कर रहे हैं, माइक्रो क्लाइमेट चेंज हो रहा है उसका. तो पूरा एक सिटी मॉर्फोलॉजी पे बहुत असर जिसे कहते हैं. और रिवर बैंक की बात कर रहे थे तो रिवर बैंक वर ऑफ कोर्स जैसे अकाउंट्स में है कि रिवर बैंक्स वर यूज्ड फॉर वाचिंग द एलिफेंट फाइट्स और रिवर पे अपना. सो आई वाज व्हेन यू गेव अ लिस्ट ऑफ क्वेश्चंस सो वी वेंट बैक टू आवर बुक्स.
Your thought process.
Yes, the thought process. So कुछ रंग लग जाता है ना, so we kind of polished it. So I found that it was also a very active site of protest. जब औरंगजेब ने जजिया रिज्यूम करा तो सारे जो ट्रेडर्स थे दिल्ली के, they were like so they went on the river bank for a protest. और भी एक दो इंसिडेंट्स जो मार्केट में उनके टैक्सेस थे, जब सुन नहीं रहा है तो दे अगेन they went on that side. So river has been very active. And जैसे ये लोकल इंसिडेंट की बात कर रहे हैं, इस पर मुझे याद आया कि लाइक आई बिलोंग टू शाहजहानाबाद, सो आई एम द 4th जनरेशन. आफ्टर दैट तो हम लोग वहाँ से मूव कर गए, पर उसमें भी हम सिटी के कोने पर ही हैं, मतलब सिटी हम छोड़ के जा ही नहीं सकते वाली चीज़ है. तो हमारी नाना की हवेली होती थी और उस पोर्शन एक उसका पर्टिकुलर पोर्शन था जो हर 3-4 साल में सिंक कर जाता था, बैठ जाता था. तो नाना तब तो छोटे थे तो समझ में नहीं आता था, बट दिस कॉन्वर्सेशंस वर देयर. एंड व्हेन आई इंटरव्यूड माय मामू खाला, इनको सबको इंटरव्यू करा, सो दे सेड कि हाँ ये होता था. तो नाना कहते थे यहाँ से ना कनाल बहती थी, ये इस तरह के रूट में था कि इसलिए बार बार बैठ जाता है पोर्शन. एंड व्हेन आई रेड सैरुल मनाजिल, तो ही इज़ ऑल्सो मैंशनिंग लॉट ऑफ हवेलीज, कनाल बह रही है वहाँ से. तो ऐसा नहीं है कि सिर्फ वो वहीं 2 जगहों पे महदूद थी, उसके बहुत सारे और डायरेक्शनल थे, क्योंकि हाइड्रोलॉजी है और आपके अंडरग्राउंड वाटर सोर्सेज भी हैं. कुएं की बात अगर कर रहे हैं तो जैसे तो फाटक दरोगा के बाहर एक कुआं था, कूचा पंडित के बाहर एक कुआं था, हरी मस्जिद के बाहर एक कुआं था. तो ऐसा नहीं, लोगों के लिए जगह जगह पे मतलब कनाल से तो है, लेकिन ऑगमेंटेड ये वाली सप्लाईज भी थी जो पूरे सेटलमेंट को केटर कर रही थी. और दैट आई मीन दैट स्टोरी मतलब उस वक्त तो समझ में नहीं आता था, लेकिन हाँ अब लगता है कि बड़ी अच्छी जगह पे रहते थे कि कनाल बहती एंड इट वाज अ हवेली. और एक चीज़ बल्कि मज़ेदार, जो कल मेरी खाला से बात हुई तो शी वाज लाइक कि जब ये कनाल का पानी ऐसे शुरू हुआ तो हुक्म जो रॉयल हकीम थे, हुक्मान शायद उन्होंने वर्ड यूज़ करा, दे सेड कि आप ये हुक्म निकालिए कि पुरानी दिल्ली के लोग तेज़ मिर्च का खाना शुरू करें, क्योंकि कनाल के पानी से नहीं तो वो बीमार पड़ जाएंगे. तो वो जो हकीम्स हैं वो दे आर टेलिंग द कि भाई ये इस तरह का एक आपका होना चाहिए, नहीं तो लोग बीमार पड़ जाएंगे. सो वो जो तेज़ मिर्च का खाना जो शुरू वाला चीज़ है, दैट स्टार्ट्स फ्रॉम प्रॉब्ली देयर, मतलब इफ़ आई बिलीव माई खालस.
That's very interesting, and I can see that there is a pattern. I mean, there is in your descriptions where what is being used as a linear element, what is being used as a nodal element, and how community, the city, and the greater region was getting shaped
Right.
by the presence of these water features. Coming to the theme of the conference, which is a very interesting one, is the evolving nature of the city. And I think it's very important to talk about the evolving nature of the city. Something which Narayani ma'am mentioned on the first day was that the city is young. Young as in because of the attributes that it has. It is full of energy and there is an aspiration to grow. Not, I mean, it's more than 400 years old, but it's still young. So which is interesting. Here, talking about the evolving nature of the city, I think it's important to also talk about the tale of two cities. With what I mean by the tale of two cities here is uh, Shahjahanabad and Lachins Delhi. So the expansion of Delhi was accompanied by a significant transformation that happened beyond the walled city's boundaries. And it also marked an emergence of a new framework of centrality. The central force was now being moved away from the city. And there was intensity of change, but there was also intensity of exchange that happened between the city and the greater context in which a new city was emerging. So I think it's important to look at how old towns adapt to external forces. And especially in the context too, since we're talking about water, it would be important to think about it. So I would like to know your comments on the tale of two cities and how do you think?
You want
Ma'am?
Manu?
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
ये ज़्यादा मेहनत करके
मेरे पास फर्रा है. I think I'll start with this idea of centrality, and what is the difference between these two? These two cities. It is actually Shahjahanabad also had centrality, but I see this layout, this city, as both centralized as well as at the same time decentralized. If we read the skeleton of the city, it is centralized. Location of fort, Chandni Chowk, Faiz Bazaar, canal network from west to east, and water from Yamuna to fort. Location of other key elements such as Jama Masjid on a mound, or Begum Ka Bagh towards the north of Chandni Chowk, royal spaces along. All this is centralized. This is the key decision is taken at one go in the sense that. But if we look deeper into internal structure, it is highly decentralized, and that is the beauty of the city. And that's why even a city like Shahjahanabad, which is more than 350-year old, is still evolving. It has survived that all that the city has seen. So it is the decentralized nature which kept adapting to the need of the time. And this is very much supported by, if we look at the map of 1865 and map of 1910, we see how this internal structure is getting filled, is getting kind of becoming more and more tight, and accommodating newcomers, new people, but it is accommodating. That is the beauty of the place, from central to decentralized version. And there is one, again, my own personal observation, and this is, I can give a tip to all of you, that if you get lost in Shahjahanabad, if you are somewhere stuck inside Shahjahanabad, say for example, in some lane inside, and you're not able to find your way, just look at the slope and keep following the slope downward. You will start moving from private to semi-private to a public space, and this happened because of decentralized nature of the place. And these very lanes, they also carry storm water, purane zamane mein. And so it means there is a decentralized water system which is getting collected at a central place. Say for example, and if I can give you a clue, that if you go to if you take Maliwada from Nai Sadak side, Maliwada, by the way, is very famous now. The biggest showroom of Delhi is located inside that. You will see that you keep walking down till Parathe Wali Gali, and you enter Chandni Chowk. In the same way, if you walk from Navgraha Kinari Bazaar, it meets at Tiraha, and you enter into and the land is going down. So it means the land and water is used in such a way that it kept evolving with the local condition. It is not. Whereas if I look at the other city, which is New Delhi, the supply, all the management, the supply, wastewater, stormwater, all these three networks were centralized. Next time we move in New Delhi, you will not see any open drain. You will not see a nala in New Delhi, because it is, during the planning, it was channelized. Whereas you go to rest of the Delhi, you'll see open drains. हमारे नाले भरे हुए हैं, मतलब सीवेज से और वेस्ट वाटर से. Why? Because they were channelized. And why? Because of the fear of hygiene. This is the difference between two cities, native versus colonial. And many of you, again, I'll go back to Aruna Asif Ali Road, where this side 3 hospitals are located, and the other side we have colonnades, वो जो Delight Cinema, हमदर्द की building है, डाबर की building है. Actually, this space was known as cordon sanitaire. Again, in open space left between two cities, from the perspective of hygiene. That वहाँ से ना गंदी smell और गंदा पानी नहीं आना चाहिए उस तरफ से. And that's why Ajmeri Gate DAG scheme बोला जाता था उसको. Delhi Gate Ajmeri Gate scheme was conceived in 1930s, so that we make a nice facade, which stops the wastewater as well as bad air to come to New Delhi. So this is where the perception of hygiene and perception of control of resource centrally, both from planning and management perspective, we are still living with that. So this is what I think. And you are talking about how old cities adapted to these external forces. I think they just adopted because they were still decentralized. They acted as sponge. We know in 1911, when New Delhi was being built, all the labor was staying in Old Delhi. When independence happened, most of the refugees, they preferred to stay in Old Delhi or work in Old Delhi because it was an employment center. So Old Delhi, Shahjahanabad absorbed these changes. Yes, and unfortunately, this tale of two cities, it has, and this is not only the tale of two cities. This process of old city and new city, in this entire process, I don't see a city in India where old was respected, old was neglected. Delhi Improvement Trust was created in 1930s. वो भी तभी create हुआ था क्योंकि Hume report said, oh, there is a lot of congestion. We have to reduce the densities. But nothing happened inside old city. They created New Daryaganj, where Madam lives.
My parents live.
Wait. And they created Dipti-Ganj, which is outside Old Delhi.
Yes.
They never attempted anything for the old city, and this is the story of all the old cities in India, except few. Jaipur is trying to maintain it, but you go to any old city, it's a sheer neglect which still continues because we are centralized in planning and management of resource. Yes.
So I'll just add to that कि जैसे ये DAG स्कीम और DIT की बात हो रही है. So actually 1911 में कैपिटल चेंज कर दिया और हमारी न्यू कैपिटल बनने लगी. तो there are proper records where people from the city, doctors and lawyers, they are doing representations that they are asking this wall to be get down because अंदर बहुत cerebrospinal fever जो था वो बहुत actively लोग बहुत ज़्यादा suffer कर रहे थे, and they were not paying any heed to it. Then the viceroy came to know of this cerebrospinal fever from an article which was printed in Bombay, and it was reprinted in Delhi, the deathbed. Okay, so he sent a letter here and like what is happening, and then they started working over it, और फिर वो जाके DIT और ये सब का शुरू होता है. But the tragic part, as Anu is rightly mentioning, कि neglected ही है. आप उनके records में देखिए, the funds were allotted कि ये काम water works के लिए होना है, but the funds are always diverted towards the creation of the new city. वहाँ पे यूज़ हो रहे हैं या अपने सिविल लाइन्स में कहीं यूज़ हो रहा है. तो from that point of view, of course, the city was very neglected. पर आप डिसेंट्रलाइजेशन की जो आप बात कर रहे हैं तो इट नेवर अकर टू मी कि कैसे लोग यहाँ पे रहते होंगे. हम रह रहे हैं, पानी जैसे होता है ना भाई, पानी कहाँ से आएगा, पंप चलाने से आएगा वाली सिचुएशन. सो व्हेन ऑल दिस हैपेंड, आउट ऑफ क्यूरियोसिटी आई देन इंटरव्यूड माय फादर. आई सेड आप जब थे तो पानी कैसे आता था घर पे? तो पानी के नल मतलब अंग्रेज़ थे, उन्होंने तो डाल दी थी लाइनें. तो ही सेड नो, मशक से पानी भरवाते थे लोग. कुएं थे, फाटक में हमारा कुआं था और मशक वाले होते थे, वो मशक से घरों में पानी भरा करते थे. और अपने ही घर में, मतलब ही गेव हिज ओन हाउस एग्जाम्पल, हमारे यहाँ इतने बड़े बड़े मटके थे कि आप उसको अगर ऐसे आप उसको करना चाहें तो आपके हाथ नहीं आएंगे. तो पानी, ये सिस्टम था जिससे लोग अपने उस वक्त में रहते थे. जैसे हम सोचते हैं ना कि कैसे रहते होंगे, तो ये एक था. देन आई आज माई मामू कि हमारे यहाँ पानी कैसा आता था. नाउ देयर इज़ अ डिफरेंस के कौन क्या अफोर्डेबिलिटी रखता है. तो वहाँ अफोर्डेबिलिटी थी, तो उन्होंने किसी तरह से कोई एक सिस्टम बना के बोरिंग का, जो बाद में लाइट वाइट आ गई. देन आई आज के वाटर सप्लाई अंग्रेज़ों ने नहीं दी, तो दे सेड के मेन रोड्स पे सप्लाई होता था और वो जो शेर वाले नल होते थे ना, वो लगे हुए थे. सो दैट इमेज दैट के बाहर मेन रोड पर था सिर्फ ये. देन आई सेड ये टॉयलेट्स कैसे वर्क करते थे फिर, मतलब यू अंडरस्टैंड कि शायद तुम्हारा ये नहीं होता तो मैं कभी अपने फादर का इंटरव्यू नहीं लेती कि ये आपने ये कैसे होता था. देन आई सेड ये टॉयलेट्स का फिर कैसे होता था, मतलब सीवर लाइन तो पड़ी होगी. तो सेड ड्राई टॉयलेट्स होते थे, वो मैला उठाने आती थी और बाहर, क्योंकि इसीलिए घरों के बाहर ही टॉयलेट्स थे, लेन्स में थे, तो मैला उठाती थी, ऐश वैश डालती थी. तो वो सिस्टम था. सीवर लाइन्स और वाटर लाइन्स 60s के बाद आई, यानी इंडिपेंडेंस के बाद आई. ब्रिटिशर्स, द कॉलोनियल रूलर्स, दे डिड नथिंग फॉर द सिटी. लोग अपने जिस भी तरह से रह रहे थे, या गलियों के साइड में ओपन ड्रेन्स होती थी, तो जैसे छोटे उसको यूज़ कर रहे हैं जो भी स्टॉर्म वाटर की जगह, वो ज़्यादातर आपका या सीवेज वगैरह का. लेकिन उसको क्लीनिंग मैकेनिज्म भी वही लोग जो मैला उठाने आते थे वो ही करते थे. तो सिटीज़, एक तरफ आप एक न्यू कैपिटल बना रहे हैं, दूसरी तरफ आप जो दूसरी है उसे आप इतना नेग्लेक्टेड छोड़ रहे हैं. सो ऑफ कोर्स देयर इज़ दिस ह्यूज गैप दैट वी सी, राइट. सो दैट्स हाउ द सिटी वर्कड.
Yeah. I think it just makes me think this is part of the ongoing research that I'm working on. I could see there's a which Sir was mentioning about the valley formation that you see when you move from Tees Hazari all the way towards the river, and also from Kamla Market all the way down to Rajghat. There's a double basin formation in the city, and where the outer basin was probably where the city mode functioned, and then there was an inner basin which is around the Red Fort. So you could see two simultaneous islands being formed, and of course we have the Aravalis on the other end. So that's an interesting observation, and also what Sir was mentioning about, if you get lost in the city, then you just follow the contour, just follow how the land falls, and based on the landform reconstruction exercise that I'm working on, I could see that the street pattern in the city actually follows the valleys of the landform, which is interesting. I'd like to move to a recent morphological change, that is the introduction of the metro in the city. When I was conducting my fieldwork last year in Shahjahanabad, I could see that there was a lot of complaint about the metro. Of course, there are a lot of good things that it brought, but then water was something that got affected a lot. And people who are from Shahjahanabad here will agree to that. So while the metro has improved mobility and contributed to city's economic growth, which Manusa works on, but it has also led to a significant depletion in the groundwater table, and also the contamination of wells in the city. So I'm curious to know how the waterscape of the city has actually developed over time here in the recent. Ma'am, if you'd like to go first on this, and what changes have occurred.
Yeah.
And
you want to go first?
No, you
go. I go first. Okay. Metro.
Yes.
It has been a big game changer, I would say. Of course, it has a lot of positive attributes. बहुत connectivity बढ़ा दी. हमारे अपने घर की लड़कियों को जो कहा जाता था बहुत दूर है, जहाँ वो कॉलेज तो बहुत दूर है, तो बच्चे बाहर जाने लगे, पढ़ने लगे, जॉब भी करने लगे. द्वारका तक चले जाते, नहीं तो ख्वाब था कि द्वारका के कैसे जाएंगे. सो मेट्रो ऑफ कोर्स हैज़ हेल्प्ड अ लॉट. सो for this water thing, when I was living there when it was being constructed, जब वो चावड़ी बाज़ार का स्टेशन पे काम हो रहा था तो बहुत कंजेशन रहता था और वाटर की कंप्लेंट्स जैसे होती हैं. तो पापा से जब लाइक फॉर दिस व्हेन आई स्पोक अबाउट इट, तो ही सेड मेट्रो के आने से वाटर लेवल काफ़ी कम हो गया. पहले बोरिंग जो होती थी, मतलब इससे आप अंदाज़ा लगाइए कि कितना कम हो गया. 20-25 फीट पे पानी आ जाता था. मेट्रो के आने से 80 फीट पे पानी आता है, राइट. सो इतना डिफरेंस ऑफ कोर्स. और टनलिंग कर रहे हैं, 30 मीटर नीचे ले जा रहे हैं, तो पानी तो उसको हटाएंगे या आपके कुछ टेक्नोलॉजी से उसको अलग करेंगे, एक्वाफर्स को हटाएंगे. सो ये तो डिफरेंस आया ही है. बाकी जगहों पर भी मेट्रो जो आपकी ये बोरिंग है, इसके में भी हाइट ज़्यादा, मतलब डीप पे जाके पानी मिल रहा है. जहाँ तक डिसेंट्रलाइजेशन की बात आप कर रहे हैं, सर्वाइव कैसे कर रही है सिटी, तो पानी आ रहा है. तो अभी क्या कर रहे हैं, जो लोकल काउंसलर्स हैं, जगह जगह उन्होंने डीप बोरिंग करवा दी है, राइट. एंड दैट डीप बोरिंग, उसका एक सिस्टम है, वो 1 घंटे 2 घंटे मोटर चलता है, बड़ा मोटर लगा हुआ उसमें, वो एक पूरे नेबरहुड को पानी प्रोवाइड कर रहा है. और वो जो है फिर आपका वाटर सप्लाई से कनेक्ट कर दिया है. तो देन हाउ डू यू बिल इट, मतलब इतना पानी जैसे. तो जो आपकी पाइपलाइन आप जो है जिससे कनेक्शन कर रहे हैं, वो वही है जिस पे आपका सरकारी पानी जो जैसे आता था, तो वो मीटर पे वहाँ रेटिंग हो रही है और फिर वो आपका बिल आ रहा है. तो अभी प्रेजेंट टाइम में सिटी ऐसे सर्वाइव कर रही है कि डिसेंट्रलाइज तरीके से बोरिंग करी हुई है अंडर, मतलब जैसे आपका ये ग्राउंड वाटर पे डिपेंडेंस है देखा जाए तो. सो मेट्रो के बाद से ये सब चेंजेस तो मतलब वेरी विजिबल चेंजेस जो लोग वहाँ फेस कर रहे हैं.
Right.
I'll not मेरा मेट्रो से बहुत बड़ा रिश्ता है, बट पानी और मेट्रो का रिश्ता नहीं है. बट एक्चुअली how city has grown, and this is very recent, this is not more than 40 years, I'll say 40 years old. The expansion of the city has led to we are seeing a crisis, but we don't acknowledge the crisis. Again, personal, whenever I cross Yamuna, I usually take D&D to go to Noida, क्योंकि नोएडा में मॉल अच्छे हैं.
दिल्ली में भी है.
दिल्ली. Whenever I cross, 2 things happen to me. A song comes to my mind. एक गाना बड़ी जल्दी जल्दी दिमाग में आने लग जाता है. भूपेन हजारिका का गाना है, गंगा तू बहती है क्यों. वो है बड़े जोर से पिच पे है वो, ओ गंगा तू बहती है क्यों. एंड माई ड्राइवर, उसका स्टैंडर्ड डायलॉग है ये, जैसे ही हम D&D क्रॉस करते हैं, मार दिया जमुना जी को, मर गई. And it has become a ritual. I fold my hands toward Jamna ji and think about the death of the river that has caused us. Actually, all of us are responsible. And till 1977-78, there is evidence that Hindon, which flows through Ghaziabad and joins Yamuna, उस पे बोटिंग होती थी. तो it means that अगर हम रिवर को नहीं बचा पाए तो छोटे मोटे तालाब, कुएं, वो किस खेत की मूली, भर दो उनको. It is because if the spirit is not there, spirit means if I refer to Jamna ji, if Jamna ji is not there, rest of the thing it is just like creating दुबई में जैसे वर्ल्ड बनाया गया है समंदर के अंदर मिट्टी भर के, which is unsustainable. We know that it is unsustainable in first go itself. So there is, I think, there is a crisis which all of us will feel.
So before I call for question and answers, I'd like to maybe as a concluding remark, do you think that the current urban infrastructure offers a solution to the water-related issues affecting old towns? And if you could just elaborate on your thoughts of we talked about centralized nature, we talked about decentralized nature, and we talked about how these ecosystems of decentralization is something that has been able to survive, and there is where remains the city, and not in the overall skeleton. So, yeah, if you could talk about this potential, is there a potential? If
See,
of redevelopment?
I'll touch upon two things. One is particularly about old city or old cities and these systems. Actually, from my own experience, future is not very bright, especially with regard to old city and old systems. Because due to the very fact that values which were associated with with these systems are not there, we don't use wells anymore. We have piped supply. अपने अपना गुसल खाने में जाओ, bucket भरो या फुहारा लगाओ और so I think the values are not there. Yes, at few instances, the water systems still hold value, as I mentioned about, say for example, temple towns, where main shrine still has a relationship with river or water body or tank or talab. There is some, and periodically, in some season, annually or कुंभ का मेला 12 साल में आता है, बस वही होता है रिश्ता. अदरवाइज इलाहाबाद का बैंक क्या है, कुछ भी नहीं है. तो yes, poor still have association because we never supplied them piped water supply. They still have association with these old water structures, whether they are polluted, whether they are dirty, whether they are not maintained, but they still. I was amazed way back in 2002 in Trivandrum, Parvati Putanar Canal carries all the city sewage, and I saw young boys taking bath in that water in that canal. It's a pity, but because poor has no other recourse, they are dependent on this. The added issue here with regard to old cities and these systems is actually these spaces and these systems, they are entering into a process of consumption. We created Chandni Chowk as a redevelopment project, but it is not for local. It is for commerce and consumption. I can give you a personal account that I was point blank asked by a local or locals when I was doing my field work that इन लोगों ने हमसे बात क्यों नहीं की, सिर्फ ट्रेडर्स से बात क्यों की जब ये चांदनी चौक प्रोजेक्ट कंसीव हो रहा था. It means there is and gradually all these systems, they will enter into consumption, whether for people from outside the city or people from outside world, which is tourism. So these structures may survive and they may be improved, but they'll be improved for consumption. They will not be improved for the local. This is very, very sure. And one of the good examples is Jodhpur is known as a city which harvested water. Gulab Sagar was dead. Gulab Sagar, it's a good water body next to town square. It saw revival, but it is not for locals. It is because someone wants to put Gulab Sagar into tourism circuit. So there are both these angles, but I also feel that future may be bright for all of us. Because scarcity of water will lead to innovation, and we have to innovate. जिस स्पेस से हम सब पाइप लगाकर अपनी अपनी कारें धोते हैं ना, एक दिन वो पाइप सूख जाएगी. हमारी नहीं सूखी होगी तो हमारे बच्चों की जरूर सूख जाएगी. ये तो गारंटी है. द वे इन विच वी यूज़ वाटर, एंड उस दिन हमें आविष्कार करना ही पड़ेगा. मतलब वी विल बी फोर्स टू एंटर इनटू एन इनोवेटिव. I have one suggestion. Again, coming back from decentralized to centralized, it is about changing the framework, both planning and management framework of our resources. If water is a resource, how do we plan it and how do we manage it? And our system is highly centralized in terms of management of resources. Again, a legacy which was brought to us, given to us. I'm not saying that the indigenous was best, but can we learn from indigenous and apply it today into other places? Why I'm saying our system is highly centralized, पानी गंगा से उठाया जाता है, सोनिया विहार में ट्रीट किया जाता है और फिर हम सबके घरों में सप्लाई होता है. We waste 15% of water when it comes from गंगा to सोनिया विहार. एक पाइपलाइन है मेरे कॉलेज के पीछे से जाती है, ITU. वो कहीं इस राजघाट से शुरू होती है और ओखला जाती है 10 से 12 किलोमीटर दूर. इसमें हमारे सिटी का सीवेज है और वो सीवेज पाइप इतनी पुरानी हो गई कि अब वो ग्राउंड वाटर को भी वो कर रही है, मैला कर रही है. एंड दिस ऑल्सो इज़ अ वेस्ट. आई थिंक दिस इज़ अ वेस्ट. It is again loss of water. So here comes the learning from a place like Shahjahanabad, that what is the benefit of decentralized and what is the benefit of centralized. And as I mentioned, if the city has survived for 350 years or more than 350 years, it will survive. I wrote a line, मैं मर जाऊंगा लेकिन मुझे पता है तू जिंदा रहेगी, because I consider Shahjahanabad, though it was built by Shah Jahan, but I consider Shahjahanabad as a female, as she. So can we manage? Can we have some thought on decentralization? Because every ward of Delhi is 50,000, 60,000. And because I'm coming from the spatial perspective, there are 5 systems in any area, and all these 5 systems are public. I'm not asking private land or I'm not asking private money. There are 5 systems. We have roads. Under the roads, we have water supply network, which is the second system. We have sewage system. We have stormwater drain, which is fourth system, and we also have parks and open spaces where rainwater gets collected and goes underground as a recharge. So what this comes to my mind, that can we look at these 5 systems which are public in nature and manage infrastructure locally? This may be. I just wonder. I haven't tested it, but this may be a more sustainable future for us. Maybe I'm using the word maybe, but at least let us try it. This is yeah.
So yeah, Manu has very nicely worded it. I will just end this with you didn't say your gali, but I'll say my fest. एक तर्ज़ तगफ़ुल है, सो वो उनको मुबारक. एक अर्ज़ तमन्ना है, सो हम करते रहेंगे. तो आई जस्ट होप दैट विद टाइम, जैसे सिटी हमेशा से खड़ी रही है, अगले 10-12 साल में शायद इसकी 400 एनिवर्सरी हो जाएगी हमारी सिटी की. इट हैज़ स्टेड, बहुत सारे अप्स एंड डाउन्स देखे हैं सिटी ने, और अपने सोल्यूशंस लोगों ने खुद निकाले हैं. आगे आने वाले वक्त में भी सिटी will survive and it will find its own innovative, solutions for its people. That's what I have to say.
Great. Thank you so much.
एक मिनट टाइप गालिब तो मैं भी
गालिब बोल रही.
ऐसे कैसे
कमाल भूल गए गालिब.
Actually, when again this is personal, that when I feel sad or I feel angry about state of affairs, there is a line, but when I go to Shahjahanabad again and again, I see itni majboot jagah from many perspectives. So many people came here, settled, earned their profit, made. There is a very beautiful account that how one particular refugee came here, opened something, and now have industries in Faridabad. So I feel a sense of robustness which this place still holds, and there is a line from Ghalib which keeps pushing me. यूं ही घर रोता रहा गालिब, तो देखना इन बस्तियों को वीरान होते. So we have to do something. We cannot cry that ये था वो था अब क्या करें. No, we have to try it. We have to try new things and learn from these places and apply them somewhere else. Yeah.
Right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you so much. I think we have time for a couple of questions. So, if there are questions from the audience. Yes, sir.
मेरी जानकारी में मैं एक चीज़ जानना चाह रहा था कि दिल्ली इवॉल्व हुई, हर शहर इवॉल्व हो रहा है, यमुना के उस पार क्यों नहीं गया था आज़ादी से पहले? ईस्ट दिल्ली जिसे हम कहते हैं, यमुना के उस पार क्यों नहीं गया था? तो मैंने इसमें जो थोड़ी बहुत जानकारी करी, वो एक्सपर्ट लोग का उस्ताद है, कुछ मेरी जानकारी में इजाफा करें या बतलाएं गलत है, कि पानी का जो सीपेज है वो दिल्ली की साइड में गया था, ईस्ट दिल्ली की साइड में नहीं गया था, बैरन लैंड थी। हिंडन का सीपेज गाजियाबाद की साइड में गया, इस साइड में नहीं आया, इसलिए ये जो लैंड थी दो आबा, हिंडन और यमुना के बीच में, ये बैरन लैंड थी, ब्रैकिश वाटर था। नोएडा में ब्रैकिश वाटर है, लेकिन फरीदाबाद तक जाते जाते ये सीपेज जो है वो चला गया ग्रेटर नोएडा की तरफ। ग्रेटर नोएडा में सीपेज हिंडन का भी है और यमुना का भी है। जब ये दिल्ली डेवलप हो रही है और ये यहाँ से लेकर आगे वहाँ तक जा सकते हैं, साउथ दिल्ली में इतनी दूर, तो अक्रॉस द यमुना क्यों नहीं डेवलप करी? ना मुगलों ने, ना अंग्रेजों ने, ना उससे पहले, लेकिन हमने 47 के बाद में इस सबको डेवलप करा जहाँ पानी नहीं था। एक तो मेरी जानकारी में बात की, मैं चाहूँगा उस्ताद लोग रोशनी डालें। दूसरा, आपने जो कहा कि मेट्रो बनी, वो जो सीपेज था, जैसे एक्वाडक्ट होते हैं पहाड़ों पर, आप सड़क बनाते हो तो एक्वाडक्ट डिस्ट्रॉय कर रहे हैं आप। इसी तरह आपने बिना ये देखे हुए कि पानी का सीपेज कहाँ से जा रहा है, क्या कर रहा है, आपने फाउंडेशन बनाई, पानी रुक गया, वहाँ पानी रुक गया तो पानी डेप्थ में चला गया। ये मेरा नई सी बात थी, आप लोग रोशनी डालें तो हमारी भी जानकारी में इजाफा हो जाए, हम तो ले में ना।
Any more questions? Are you
Yeah,
taking or
maybe,
we'll
yeah,
just-
you can. Yes, ma'am.
मेरा नाम अदिति देसाई है और मैं सिविल लाइंस में पैदा और बड़ी हुई, पर मेरे दादा पुरानी दिल्ली में रहते थे। उसके बाद पीएचडी के लिए 1975 to 77 मैं बल्ली मारान में रही, हकीम अब्दुल रशीद खान की हवेली में, जो कि शरीफ मंजिल के काफ़ी पास है। तो पुरानी दिल्ली में सिविल लाइंस में हमारे घर में कोठी थी, वो अंग्रेज़ों की बनी हुई कोठी थी। और एक और कोठी में हम लोग रहे जो मुसलमानों ने बनाई थी 200 साल पहले, जो मिट्टी और चूने वगैरह की बनी हुई थी, जिसमें अभी भी कुछ लोग रहते हैं। उसमें 30 साल रहे। उससे पहले मेरे दादा ने 1948 में क्या कहते हैं, वाइसरॉय के सेक्रेटरी से खरीदी थी 1948 में, और फिर पुरानी दिल्ली से शिफ्ट हो गए वहाँ पे। तो जब हम लोग बड़े हो रहे थे तो उस घर में इतना पानी आता था, मतलब वाटर टेबल वाज सो हाई कि वो उस पर आप दरी कारपेट कुछ भी बिछाएं वो पूरी गीली हो जाती थी। तो जब, और वहाँ पे कुआं है, वो सब एक तालाब सा था, बाग बगीचों में पानी वानी देने के लिए। जब मैं पुरानी दिल्ली में गई, लगभग हर अमीर के घर में कुआं था, हैंडपम्प भी था। दिस इज़ 1975 to 77। और कुछ कुछ घरों के वो जो थे अहाते कह लीजिए, या क्योंकि पूरी रिस्ट्रक्चरिंग हो गई थी आफ्टर पार्टीशन, पीपल हैड मूव्ड, population had increased, and it was a commercial capital of Asia, Chandni Chowk, meaning that whole area. So because of that, तो और कुओं की बहुत सारी कहानियाँ हैं, मतलब 1700 कुछ से लेके, मतलब नादिर शाह के टाइम से लेके 1857 की, उसमें कूद के लोगों ने जान दे दी, उसमें गहने डाल दिए वगैरह वगैरह। तो पानी का, और ये आपने कहा जो नालियाँ घरों के बाहर चलती थी, मेरा ये सवाल है छोटा सा कि ये जो इन्फॉर्मेशन जो भी आप लोग रिसर्च स्कॉलर और दूसरे रिसर्च स्कॉलर इकट्ठा कर रहे हैं, आर्किटेक्ट्स वगैरह, हैज़ दिस बीन कोलेटेड एंड पुट टू एनी अथॉरिटी विच इज़ लाइक म्यूनिसिपल कॉरपोरेशन है, या जो भी ऐसे वो हैं डिपार्टमेंट्स हैं जो पानी वानी से डील करते हैं? क्योंकि ये नई दिल्ली का बनना भी अंग्रेज़ों ने कभी हिंदुस्तानियों की, आई मीन पोस्ट 1850 आफ्टर दे ब्रोक एंड गेट, जो पुराने अंग्रेज़ आए थे उन्होंने मुगलों के तरीके, तौर तरीके अप्लाई वो अडॉप्ट किए। दे वर द लाउड्स, यू नो, दे वर पीपल की भाई हिंदुस्तान भेज दो इन ऑफिसर्स को वगैरह। तो उन्होंने उर्दू सीखी, कपड़े पहनने सीखे, शिकार पे गए। पर जो बाद में मिलिट्री आफ्टर कैलकटा वाज मेड, the kind of people who came were a different class of British officers.
Yes.
And those British officers, they treated कि हम लोग जंगली लोग हैं, कुछ मतलब उनसे दूर रहिए, तो उन्होंने वो spaces create की between Red Fort and this thing and so on. And New Delhi was purposely built basically कि जो civilized लोग हैं वो नहीं रहेंगे वहाँ पे, ये तो इसलिए Old Delhi was completely ignored. And again, you know, it is at a height. रायसीना हिल जो है कि वहाँ से वो देखेंगे, जैसे शाहजहां उनको नज़र आता था, जामा मस्जिद नज़र आता था, but it was really meant कि भाई चलो अब tourist attraction बन गया है, so there's some interest in it. So I think that basically, I think that you need to have a awakening of the people to somehow, you know, ये गंगा को भी मार दिया,
No, no, I understand. Yeah.
कि
Yeah.
वो ये है कि
Yeah,
नहीं
got your
कुछ-
question, ma'am. Yeah,
हाँ.
great. Thank you. Maybe we can take one more question and then summarize, or
Yes.
you want to answer these two first?
तो आप कर ले, आंसर कर लेते हैं.
Okay.
हाँ,
okay.
because next session.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So,
Mani?
उनका
So I think they were like, firstly, why
You were-
Delhi didn't develop in the other side of the
On the other
Yamuna,
side.
and
I think actually if you look at the old, अगर आप old नक्शे देखेंगे ना, उस साइड में मतलब जमुना के उस पार एक तो जीटी रोड जा रही है और एक ही सेटलमेंट आपको मिलती है, वो भी एक जहाँ संजय लेक है वहाँ पे एक सेटलमेंट है, नाम भूल रहा हूँ उसका, पटपड़गंज. हाँ, एक्चुअली जो मेरा जितना मानना है कि मानना नहीं है, मतलब जो भी मैं रीड कर पा रहा हूँ, इट इज़ आई थिंक द नेचुरल प्रोटेक्शन जो आपको इस तरफ मिल रही थी, जो जमुना की इस तरफ आपको नेचुरल प्रोटेक्शन मिल रही है. और यू आर राइट, ये लैंड इतना फर्टाइल नहीं था पहले. ये लैंड फर्टाइल हुआ है व्हेन द कौन सा वेस्ट,
East Jamuna Canal.
नहीं यमुना नहीं, गंगा कैनाल,
वेस्टर्न यमुना का
वेस्टर्न यमुना कैनाल ने ये पूरे लैंड को फर्टाइल किया है. इवन टिल ग्रेटर नोएडा ऑल्सो वाज नॉट वेरी फर्टाइल लैंड. अब है,
दोनों सीपे जा रही हैं.
सर आ रही हैं, लेकिन एनीवे आई एग्री विद यू, मतलब. एंड सेकंड इज एक्वाफर अबाउट द मेट्रो.
यस. तो मेट्रो की ड्रिलिंग ऑब्वियसली जब टेक्नोलॉजिकली हो रहा है तो सर, ऑल्दो आई एम नॉट अ वाटर एक्सपर्ट, व्हाट यू आर टॉकिंग ऑफ द ईस्ट दिल्ली, बट व्हेन वी टॉक ऑफ लुटियंस दिल्ली प्लानिंग एंड वी से साइट सिलेक्शन एंड ऑल, सो उसमें एक क्वेश्चन ये आता है कि जब सिविल लाइन्स नॉर्थ में डेवलप हो गया था तो वहीं नॉर्थ की तरफ उन्होंने सिटी क्यों नहीं बना ली, वो रायसीना हिल की तरफ ही गए. तो वो जो एरिया था वो लो लाइंग एरिया था एंड इट वॉज प्रोन टू डिचेस वहाँ पे, तो इसलिए उधर की तरफ एक्सटेंशन नहीं हुआ और एक नई सिटी और थे कि लोगों को हटाना पड़ेगा, उनको बहुत पैसे देने पड़ेंगे, इसलिए रायसीना हिल पर आए. लेकिन इंडिपेंडेंस के बाद हमने मॉडल टाउन वहीं बसा दिया, तो हमने वो जोग्राफी नहीं देखी कि लो लाइंग एरिया है या नहीं बनाना है. सो ईस्ट दिल्ली का तो आई थिंक दिस इज़ अ गुड अपॉर्चुनिटी, आई विल डू माई रिसर्च.
सेंट्रल पॉल्यूशन कंट्रोल बोर्ड पे है सारे मैप.
अच्छा.
ये जानकारी मैंने वहीं से लिया, कोई मेरी अपनी नहीं, मैं हुई नहीं, कुछ हुई नहीं. तो आप लोग एक्सपर्ट हैं, आप लोग उस्ताद हैं, हम लोग
अरे
Yeah. Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah.
Any more questions, please? Yeah, okay.
Yes,
Maybe we can take two more questions. And then,
Hamza.
yeah. Yes.
Thank you so much, sir and ma'am, for your insightful discussion. I want to follow up on two thoughts that were there towards the end of the discussion. First was innovation, and scarcity will breed innovation, and the second thing would be resilience. So, as you suggested that, in the colonial times, piped water supply was the innovation, but then the indigenous population was kept out of that fold.
Right.
Even in the post-colonial, or should I say neo-colonial times in our country, we have innovation, we have water, but areas like Jamia Nagar or the slums in Delhi, they have acute, severe water stress, and I've seen water wars in the slums as well. So why should someone like me or any one of us be optimistic that in the case of a future innovation, the benefits of that innovation will be distributed evenly? So how can I, why should I be so optimistic? And then who is culpable? I want to, draw more on the distributive justice aspects of it as well. And the resiliency part that, you know, the people will themselves rise up and then solve their own problem. So there's a quote by Tracy L. Washington that don't call me resilient, because every time you call me resilient, it means that you can do more things to me. So in the context of these, I would like to hear your thoughts. Thank you.
Maybe we can take one more question and then you want to answer this first?
Okay. See, I completely agree with your, these two words, innovation and resilience, and how when we look at some people, we say, oh, ये तो resilient है, काम चल जाएगा इसका, क्योंकि वो उसके पास कुछ है ही नहीं खोने के लिए. And the history of technology, अगर मैं innovation की बात करूँ, history of technology tells us that that technology is never evenly distributed. वो नहीं होता है. Actually ना ये इस आंसर में पॉलिटिक्स आ जाएगी. नहीं मैं नहीं दूंगा.
इसलिए मैं भी नहीं जवाब
We can discuss after this.
Yeah, maybe over a cup of tea.
मैं पॉलिटिक्स नहीं. अभी
Maybe
वो
we can take one more question and before.
Yeah, someone over there is.
बहुत सारे
Yeah.
लोग हैं यार.
Yeah,
We'll
please.
find-
I'll request you to please be short. Yeah.
पीछे, yeah.
Yeah.
Ma'am,
Ma'am here.
Yeah, it's a very brief question. I just wanted to know what was the demarcation in terms of land use between an urban area and a agricultural or a rural area. Was there such a demarcation prior to coming of the British? And in terms of water usage, how was it distributed? So just keeping it short.
Yes, ma'am.
So there is a city wall, and urban is like the people were living in the city in these walls, and the settlement was gradually going out. So you have this Paharganj, Sabzi Mandi, and all. This was all agricultural, this thing. So as per the records, let's say, that this was all farming, and then there were orchards, इनके साहिबाबाद, इनके जहाँ इनके बाग्स थे. तो वो और अली मर्दा कनाल का अगर हम जोग्राफी देखते हैं तो वो उसी तरह से डाइवर्ट होती है. तो वाटर सोर्स तो था ही, और बाकी पूरी ज़मीन थी जहाँ पे फार्मिंग और ये सब होता था. आपका ग्रेन्स भी ग्रो हो रहे हैं, और मंडी लगती थी, बल्कि जो आपका लाहौरी गेट है उसके बाहर में पूरा एक मंडी सब वहाँ पे ही होता था. और ऐसे ही रिवर साइड पे नखास की मार्केट लगती थी. नखास मतलब ना खास, जो इम्पॉर्टेंट नहीं है. तो वेजिटेबल और रोज़मर्रा की जो ये चीज़ें होती थी वो नखास की मार्केट में लगती थी. तो ऐसा डिमार्केशन की अगर आप बात कर रहे हैं तो वो सिटी वॉल जो थी वो अपने आप में ही एक एक वो हैबिटेबल स्पेस है जिसमें गेट्स होते थे, खिड़की होती थी, और बाहर का पूरा लैंडस्केप वाज यूज्ड फॉर द फार्मिंग.
Maybe I think we are late for
Yeah,
the next
okay,
session,
yeah.
so maybe we can continue
Yeah,
outside.
yeah, sure.
Great. Okay, thank you so much, everyone, and thank you so much, Professor Mahajan. Thank you so much, Professor Munawwar.
Yeah. Thank you, Iqtidar.